Hey, welcome back to Already Overbooked. I am very, very happy. Baseball schedule finally came in. So I actually know when the games are going to be now, which means I can actually start planning my life around baseball season. So, super excited because I'm going to be going through and start booking more interviews on the channel. I already had a few on the books for this month, thank goodness. And but I haven't booked anything new. So I need to start doing that. I need to start getting my schedule set up, having connections, and start really reaching out to authors about being on the channel. Definitely those that I've thoroughly enjoyed their work. So if you know of any author that has a new book coming out or has an amazing story that I've mentioned or not mentioned on the channel, let me know and I will go through and reach out to those authors to see if they want to be on the channel. So let me know down in the description below what authors should I start inviting on the channels that I haven't already. Also, it was a nice long weekend. Having that extra day goes a long way for Labor Day, and it was good. We did a lot of cooking on the grill, which is a always fun. And then this weekend, tomorrow, tomorrow's my son's birthday. We're having his birthday party tomorrow, but his actual birthday is next week. Middle of the week. So it's exciting. Exciting. It's birthday month. I feel like there's a birthday every 5 minutes around here. But yeah, I'm super excited for my oldest's birthday this Saturday. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We're doing a Star Wars party. So we're gonna be having water slides. We're gonna have water balloons. There is gonna be lightsaber battles. Normal crazy boy parties. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. So let's um I think that's it from my neck of the woods. So let's just jump into what did I go through and read. I actually went through and read 3 books. With the long weekend, I was able to go through and get in some extra books. So the first book I ended up going through and finishing was Midwestern Gothic by Scott Thomas. This book was intense. There were 4 stories, 4 novellas, so 4 different novellas, 4 different horror stories within this book with different tones. It was different subgenres. It was intense. It was gruesome, and really left me completely screwed up with these stories. There were some of them that's still like lingering in my head since I went through and finished this, which those are always great. And wow, a lot of fun. The writing was great. It was intense. Scott definitely brought his A game with this book. I ended up going through and talking with Scott yesterday during a live. So if you're interested to hear some insights specifically from the author, go through and check out that interview. I will post it somewhere. You can go through and check that out. But also, I'm going to be doing a review about this book on Monday as well because it was so well done, and I need to go through and talk about this book. And I need people to read this so I can talk about this more with people. So, Midwestern Gothic, you'll hear more about this very soon. The next book I finished reading was Bloodline by F. Paul Wilson. This book was weird, man. It was a weird story. It was not like the other ones, and there's things that happened within the story that I don't know if I can talk about on YouTube because I might get just taken off completely. If you've read this book, you know what I'm talking about. It it was story wise, it was good, but the content within this story was so messed up and eerie and disturbing. Not like horror gore disturbing or supernatural disturbing, just on a completely different level. It's a messed up story, but F. Paul Wilson knocked it out of the park with his writing. His prose are always fantastic, but the story itself was intense. So that's all I could feel like I could say about this book. But Bloodline, F. Paul Wilson. The last book I ended up going through and finishing was Paul Jessup's book, Suicide Music. Now, this book is dark. It was also very gritty, interesting to go through and get through. The main character, Hazel, is in a very dark place after she goes through and loses her brother. Or yeah, he died after her brother died, and he's found in the woods with his eyes sewed shut. It's intense. It escalates even more within the story. That was at the very beginning. We find the brother's eyes sewed shut. So it only gets more chaotic from there. This is a very deep, very terrifying story. It goes and talks about a lot of intense topics and really gets into the mind of Hazel, who has a lot of suicidal thoughts. So it's a different type of story. It was dark and it was very intense. I really enjoyed it, but I'd be very cautious with who I would go through and recommend this book to. Now, what am I currently reading? I was planning on going through and starting multiple books after I finish those, but I've loved this book. I am 113 pages out of 350, but it's The Shadow in Summer by Daniel Abraham. I mentioned during my TBR that I've heard a lot of love about this book, and I can see why. It is very political. I don't know if there's action in this story, but I am, like I said, 100 pages in, and there's been zero action. Everything is political, which is very fun and very relaxing compared to some of the other chaotic stories I've been reading. So having a more close knit psychological political type story was it's fun, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this book, and I'm getting through this extremely fast. I'm probably going to go through and honestly have this done before the weekend ends, and I am probably going to be jumping into book 2 very very soon, based off this writing. And I'm already a big fan of Daniel Abraham, but this book is escalating him up on being one of my favorite authors that's currently writing. So, A Shadow in Summer by Daniel Abraham. So far, the hype is real with this one. The hype is real. So, jumping into my book haul, I ended up going through and getting 3 physical books and 1 ebook. The physical books I got these at the local bookstore, and they're both like $1, so you can't beat that. And I've heard nothing but great things from Josh from the Reformed Reader about this series. So, anytime Josh said he recommends a book, I'm going to go through and pick it up because me and him usually agree on a lot of books. So the book series was Monster Hunter International. I got book 1 and book 2, Monster Hunter Vendetta. So I am excited. I hear this series is like the Dresden Files, but with guns instead of magic. It's kind of what I've gone through and heard about this book series. So I am excited to get into these 2. Probably going to get into them before the end of the year. And if I enjoy them as much I think I'm going to enjoy them, I'm probably going to pick up the rest of the series extremely soon. So Monster Hunter book 1 and 2 by Larry. The last physical book I ended up getting was from a fantastic author, and that is E.M. Bradley, and it was The Veil. So I went through and spoke about this book multiple times. I got the ebook of this. I went through and read it. It was so much fun, and the EM was super nice and to send me a physical copy of this book. And it looked amazing as an ebook, but with the new cover, it really gives off the vibe of what this story really is about. It's a lot of fun. It's about some kids who their eyes open up about the world, and they get to go through and kind of see what's really happening behind the curtains. I don't want to go through and spoil too much, but it is Stranger Things type story, and it is a lot of fun. Highly recommend going through and checking out The Veil if you for some reason haven't checked it out yet. It's a lot of fun, and EM does an amazing job with all of his stories I've gone through and read so far. The ebook I ended up going through and getting was Detour by Rob Hart and Jeff Rake. This is a book about a group of astronauts who are fighting to return to their loved ones when the journey goes off course in a mind-bending sci-fi thriller. So that's all I know about it, but the publisher sent me this book as an ebook, and I'm going to go through and check it out. It sounds very, very cool and intriguing to go through and check out. So, Detour by Rob Hart and Jeff Rake. So, what is happening next week? We have just 2 videos next week. I have no interviews going on. So, we have the Midwestern Gothic review that I've mentioned already. That's going to be happening on Monday. And then on Friday, we're going to be going through and talk about everything that happened on the channel from now to next week. So, jumping into the indie author spotlight, I wanted to go through and spotlight S.A. Barry, author of Blood Odyssey, The Rivalry. And this book is about Odysseus, who survived the collapse that devastated planet Anora in the year 22,052. A world-leading physicist turned into a biomechanical human with the ability he never sought. His burden, a key that holds the fate of all existence in his grasp, handed down to him by his grandfather. He longs to fulfill this task that was bestowed to him so that he may one day find the solitude he seeks. However, his nemesis has other plans, hunting him with a hunger to twist reality in the darkness using the key. Their chase erupts into a war across galaxies, from forgotten worlds to endless bounds of space, forcing Odysseus to wield powers he never sought. As his enemy closes in, he must unlock the key's secrets to preserve existence or face a universe consumed by eternal chaos. Now, this sounds amazing. It sounds very intense. And if you're interested in checking out S.A. Barry's book, I'll have the link down in the description below. Go through and check it out. It looks and sounds amazing. Jumping into the BookTuber Spotlight, I want to go through and spotlight a friend of the channel. This is Saffron from the Booked podcast. Saffron is an awesome person who does so much for the indie space. She interviews indie authors every week and is an all-around amazing person. We've gone through and talked multiple times, and I cannot say enough amazing things about Saffron. Also, her Booked podcast went from being a pre-recorded to live starting this week, which was so awesome, going through and being able to interact with everyone during the interview. People in the chat were fantastic. Go through and check it. I'll have the link to her her first live podcast down in the description below. Go through and check it out. Saffron's amazing, and I promise you will not be disappointed going through and checking out Booked. So that's it. That's all we got for this week. So let me know what you're reading, watching, or grabbing in your book hauls this week. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. You know what to do. Till I see you in the next one. Stay overbooked.